My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. I must inform you that I do not live in this house by myself, but live here with other people. Sometimes other members of the household may have to walk through areas where I might be recording with other family members on the phone. If you hear any noise like that, please feel free to disregard. We are doing our best to get noise canceling equipment, which may at least keep you from hearing exactly what is being said. Thank you for considering. Well, as I come through all this series, I came to realize there's one thing we haven't done yet, and that was start working on carving the manger and demonstrating how we do that. I've already drawn all the lines in between videos, so I think we're going to kind of take a little time to try to carve this out now. It just so happened that there was a place that was supposed to be done with a knife. I went ahead and took care of it on the bandsaw because of the way that the cutting came out, and I sort of had to even it out more. But when we come down to taking care of this work, I will just have a little thing or two to show you all as far as how it's done, and we're going to move this down so y'all can see. But I say there's a little thing we do where we kind of make our cuts along these lines that make out the rectangle at the top to make it so we have the baby Jesus in the manger just as he really is. And so I say that work kinda makes a way down to seeing who and what we are and what we're going to be. So I say that this is just one little kind of work where, unfortunately, I say we have chipped off a little bit too much from the top there, so I guess we can probably just make another little opportunity out of that mistake. And I say probably kind of add a little bit of extra intricate special design like this to it, just to kind of make it more interesting. Now, I will say that that one thing you'll notice is that a manger was something that was usually used as a feeding trough in those days, and of course that was what he laid in. And lots of times we often see little mangers and feeding troughs that are made out of wood, but in those days, the way they had them, even the one he laid in, it could have been carved out of stone. It could have just been a rock with a little oval-shaped hole carved out of it for animals to eat out of, which, as a baby, he could have been laid in. So I say that that's the kind of work we have seen here. I'd like to just show a little more how we come along this, and I mean, I tell y'all that there's probably even maybe a littler piece of knife I could use to kind of make this better, but I say for now I've already gouged out the hole that makes the head, so that little circle is something you can just kind of find a way to work your way to carve around and see how baby Jesus is going to be, how he will turn out. I say that it's just kind of the work that kind of makes a way to us, and see how this shall work along to be just what we all have to see in life of a little baby boy in the manger who is actually God himself. And we know one thing, that there's the religions out there that have different views about Jesus, some that don't view him as the Son of God, some who just kind of view him as a good man or a prophet or something like that, but it all comes down to what we see in life. And I tell y'all that this is probably coming out in little fancy ways, and since we chipped something off accidentally here, maybe we'll make it a little more decorative by putting little chips in these places as well. Kind of make it look like it has some little special even sides, and kind of have the work just be done right in to make it so he's just as specialized as he can be, I say. And little work, I say, kind of like how we have him come around. Nothing wrong with having a little fancy manger now and then, because this will probably be an extra fancy set just because of how the wood shall turn out. And with all we have to say, and all due respects, I must also mention that there's probably something I forgot to measure out, where we're supposed to go 1/8 of an inch over to from the side of the manger to make the little place where it is carved to go inward. And looks like, from what I'm seeing on the video time, we have plenty of time to do this and kind of make the work just fly right in the place where it is supposed to be and where it is supposed to go, I say. Kind of like old diamonds and stuff. I tell y'all that this is just a little thing where we're working along this, sort of like make it so we kind of see what this is going to be like all the way after we get a little bit more done with the project, down to what we need to see, and we get a little bit down to earth with all we have to do and work with in life, just to enjoy a little favor now and then. I tell y'all that this is just one of those things where there's probably little things we probably forgot to do a little bit here and there, but we'll manage that a little later. And I say that there's places in between the legs of the manger where a little wood should have already been chipped out, and good enough in all ways. We're going to take care of that as well. See how this is going to be, and a lot of finished work shall kind of make a way down to what we're going to have, what all we're going to work with when we kind of see a little thing that comes right out of this little manger of a scene, I say. And come down to where I say little places in between where we kind of chip wood away, try to get rid of the stuff we're not going to need when it comes down to just kind of little work like we have. I say, I tell y'all, little working mangers and troughs and things that come out of things. And like I tell y'all that there's little stories in the Bible where we know that there was a story where King David, as a shepherd boy, got so hungry he was about to eat the slop he was feeding the pigs, you know. And we know that on farms in those days there was just a lot of differences and ways things were made and ways things were done. It was the kind of work everybody had to do in those days, and heard so many stories from certain friends I've had who grew up on farms, and all the work that was involved and all the things that would have never been understood by people like me who never grew up on them. I say it's just kind of like how little work shall make a way into us, and see how we got a little manger just the right scene and size and way, and then down to what we're going to do, get these shepherds out of the way. But I say just make the little lines on Mary and Joseph as for how they're going to end. This will be the final part of the series, I say, because I just kind of decided to come on, take care of that little manger as the very last thing, and it was a good thing we had a moment in time in this video to take care of that, because it's the kind of work we need. Again, I say I've been rushing through these videos and been forgetting to sharpen my knife, and probably would say, as Calvin Grant always said, one of my late fellow wood carvers, it was always like, you know, he always said that he switched knives around as he was carving. It was just kind of the thing where we see little things happen here and there, see how these little nativity figures can be the best thing for us. And I say I can't wait to sell many more, see how sales go with them in the future, because it gets a little fancy here and there as we work alongside of what we do. And I say that sometimes, just sometimes, a little extra work can be a little extra cost. One time I had one of these nativities on a little set of shelves that I had in the floor at a booth, because the tables were so full and I had so much stuff to show and display. And little baby girl, probably about 1 year old, walked up to the shelf and started touching things. I kind of tried to be nice to her, say, "Easy, girl." And then her young mother kind of came up and said, "Why did you just say that?" She said, "Were you talking about my little girl?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Just looked like she was about to touch some things." I said, "And I just kind of have a rule at my booth not to allow children to touch things. That's kind of the reason why there's a certain sign I have out at my booth which advertises the business, and one of the little things it says on it is, 'Thank you for not permitting children to touch, and for noting that nothing on this table is a toy until it is paid for.'" That's kind of like the way I speak about things. Try to protect my work so it doesn't really get damaged or broken. Try to keep it in good shape so it can be sold. I say that we already got done with all the carving part on all these figures. Probably got a thing or two left to do as far as just sanding and putting a little finish on them goes, but there's a couple of angels I carved out of redwood that I've already kind of gotten the finish on and gotten them in a box, and I'd say they're probably one of the hardest figures to carve to this whole nativity set. And with little things I'll say in the future, there's so much to know, so much to say, so much to do, and appreciate you all coming on to watch. It always means a lot that you all come on to watch these series and videos and the finales, and to know how much I really have to watch my diet and exercise more just to kind of keep myself a little more healthy these days. And like my doctor said, and just down to the point where I'm going to be used to it sooner or later, and be back to work in August and be back to doing what I do there. And I say that it's all going to be good for the future. One thing I'll say, just to kind of finish things off here, is that I have gotten both of these shepherds done with the carving, except for one little thing that has to be done along the head of this one. Probably the only thing that's going to be left after sanding them will be to drill the hole and put in the little twig to make the shepherd's little staff. And like they say in the Bible about the Lord being my shepherd, it says, "Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." Because I tell you all, that's what the shepherd's rod and staff are for. They're kind of for leading the sheep and for drawing them away from the mountain line and rescuing them out of the bushes as they walk up and down the mountains and valleys. Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned.